Hi everyone, and respectfully Badini, I'm Adika Rakha Atallah. In this video, I will be breaking down my analysis for the three questions in our Etnik Konflik midterm exam. Okay, so for the first question, as we all know, the modern conflicts are really just internal. We are living in a giant connected component where local and global actors are part of one single network. I argue that horizontal inequality is a real fuel for the fire here. When economic and political gaps overlap with ethnic identity, it creates a massive grievance that leaders can usually use to mobilize violence. But why do these wars last so long? For me, it's about the transnational diaspora acting as a vital infrastructure. They send the money and political support that keep the fight alive from abroad. We saw this clearly in Aceh case. While the grievance was rooted in unfair distribution of local resources, the classic grievance side of the framework, it was the international diaspora that provided the logistical lifeline. The external help basically causes the negotiation space to collapse because when you have outside researchers, there's less pressure to compromise at home. Okay, so we're moving on to the next question. Why do ethnic identities harden and become so polarized? We know identity is supposed to be fluid, but discrimination in areas like education, culture, or the law change the whole dynamic. When a group is constantly marginalized, their identity stops being just a cultural background and turns into a rigid political shield for collective survival. This triggers a segregated dilemma in international relations. Basically, if my group tries to protect itself, your group sees it as an existential threat. Thus, how discriminations create a cycle of conflict that becomes incredibly hard to mediate. Alright, now for the last question, to what extent can violence in ethnic conflict be explained as a result of racial cohesion? To answer this, I'm going to look at it through the lens of instrumentalism. From an instrumentalist perspective, violence is a calculated tool used by leaders to consolidate power or gain leverage. A clear case is the Rwandan genocide, where elites under President Habyarimana's regime deliberately used violence as a rational strategy to eliminate political rivals and maintain their grip on the state. But however, to quickly analyze this, we must admit that the rationalist view has its limits. While leader may be rational, it often ignores the emotional frenzy and the social construction of the masses. At the individual level, violence is often driven by genuine fear and deep-seated hatred that rational choice theory cannot fully explain. So, while the pain for violence may be rational, the execution is deeply tied to identity and emotion. I think that's all for my analysis and my answer for these three questions. Thanks for your time. Have a good day.